I've been painting Warhammer for 14 years, and in that time I have somehow managed to paint over 10,000 points, which is a lot of bug. And it's been so worth it because altogether they look absolutely immense on the table and I can take whatever I want. So if you want to create a horde of your own but find the prospect of painting hundreds of miniatures very overwhelming, let me introduce you to my scheme. I've been using this scheme for the last 3 years now and I've been on everything from my Termagants to my Hierophant, and it has never once made me want to stop painting. So today I'm going to walk you through it and show you exactly how I paint Hive Fleet Leviathan, working on a Termagant because if it works on the infantry, it's going to work on everything. I'm going to break it down into 3 elements. You've got the skin, the carapace, and the weapons. But before we can get started, you need your paints, you need your brushes, especially some dry brushes, and you need your miniature. Once you've got all that ready, let's go. Okay, so we're going to start with the skin first, and this is the messiest section, but also the most satisfying. So I'm going to start with this white bone primer from Colourforge. You really want to make sure you get this bit right. You want good coverage on the miniature because we're only going to be doing a wash and a dry brush, but don't rush it. We don't want to end up with fuzzy miniatures at this stage. The first wash is going to be Carapace Crimson. You want to get this all over the skin. This is what gives it that fleshy pink undertone, but don't put it on too thick as it will pull and that will still be visible under the dry brush. And don't rush the drying time on this because if we move on to the next step too quickly, it was going to pick up all of that wash on the brush and your skin might end up a little bit more pink than you want it to be. Once that's dry brush Pallid Witch Flesh over the top and build it up until you get a tone that you're happy with. I found you can be as heavy or as gentle with this as you want. It really does depend on if you want your skin more pink toned or more white toned. Then we're going to go back in with the Carapace Crimson, and this is going into those recesses, the vents, the little dots on the head and the tail, and the soft fleshy parts of the joints. Now we're going to work on the face, and I like to use this Ayandan yellow contrast paint to try and get like a sort of glowy effect around the eye. So I'm just going to place this all the way around the orbital socket and of course into the recesses of the eye itself. Then I'm going to use my Dragonhof Nightshade, and this is just going to go into the pure recess of the eyes, avoiding the orbital socket where we've just put the Ayandan yellow. And for the final part of the eyes, we're going to use Euro Yellow. Find your smallest brush possible for this because you just want to do a tiny dot where the eye actually sits, because you've then got the Dragonhof Nightshade in the recess and the Ayandan yellow. It looks like a yellow glow effect coming out from the eye. But you want to be really careful to then not accidentally get it into the recess. Once we've done with the eyes, Nuln Oil is going to act as our shade for the teeth. And our final contrast paint that we use on the skin is going to be our Vulpus Pink. Now I like to use this on any of those deeper pink fleshy shades. So the tongue, I like to do it on this little bit of gun here. If you're ever confused about where you might want to put this, go check out the Games Workshop website and see where their deeper pinks are on their Tyranids. The Vulpus Pink can just go there. That's all you need to do. And finally, your Shabby Bone once the Nuln Oil is dry. This is going to be the colour for the teeth on the nids. On the larger bugs, I will then go in and highlight it with Screaming Skull, but on a Termagant, the teeth are too tiny. That is the skin done, and we can move on to the carapace, which is my favourite part of painting Tyranids, because once you get that purple on there, it really starts looking like a Hive Fleet Leviathan bug. So let's do that now. So we're going to start with matte black from Army Painter, and we're just going to put this all over the carapace. Not too concerned about coverage at this point, as this is just a base for other colours. You just want to get it all over. And while we're doing it, the red parts of the weapons do also need to be based in this black. So we'll do that. That is the claws, that is the feet, and on any melee based nids, any of the red melee weapons. Naggaroth Knight is then going to go over the top, and this is the actual base colour we want. I did used to just put it over the white bone primer, but it does look so much better over a darker base, that true Leviathan colour. And now we have our purple base, let's move on to the Xerius purple. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is another dry brush, and I found that with this step, you just want to put it all over the raised parts of that carapace. It's more effective on the bigger bugs and the newer bugs, or the newer sculpts. It just picks up any sort of texture or cracks or anything in the carapace and just gives it a little bit more depth. It looks so much better with this step. It seems so simple, but it makes such a massive difference. And for the feathering, I'm going to use this Deep Violet by AK. Now this bit does require a little bit of learned skill, and you will build that up over time. The main thing at this stage is to figure out what position works best. So either pushing the paint away from you or pulling it towards you. I use both depending on what side of the mini I'm painting. It just feels a bit more comfortable switching it around. The important thing though is that you want the thinnest part of the flick to be where you lift the brush up. That's how you're going to get that sharp flick at the end. So I will go from the edge of the carapace up, as you can see here. Use your finest brush for this, the best one you can, and don't put too much pressure on it. You can always go back and do it again and just paint the Naggaroth Knight over if you need to. Practice, repetition. Once you get it down, it's a really fun step. Finally, we are going to use Kraken Lavender for one last little highlight. So we're going to go back and do those flicks again, but I will just do like one of these on each side of the carapace. You don't have to do this, I just think it looks so much nicer. And that is the carapace done. That is, I think, 5 steps, and most of it's dry brushing. So I find it really easy when doing this method to batch paint a lot of things all in one go. And we are already onto the final section, which is the weapons. This is the bit that's going to bring it all together, and we just want to get that nice red pop. We're going to start things off with the Flesh Terrier's Red contrast paint, which I think is genuinely the best contrast paint I've ever used. We're going to put it all over that black base, and it's going to show up with this really, really cool red that we can then work on with the dry brush to bring it up to a nice highlight. And we're going to start with Mephiston Red as our first dry brush. You'll want to use a light touch here because you can always build up if you want a brighter red tone on your weapons, but really just play this by ear depending on how you're feeling and what you want it to look like, because then we're then going to move on to our next dry brush, which is Wild Rider Red. So this is going to go on top of your Mephiston Red, but I will tend to do this more towards the edges of the weaponry, and it kind of makes the weapons look like they're glowing, which is cool. I'd say with smaller miniatures like this Termagant to not worry too much about the dry brushing of the weapons, because they're so small you're not really going to be able to see much. The main thing is that you want to make sure they're definitely reading as red. However, when you get onto the bigger bugs, that's when this can be really, really fun. You can really play around with the dry brushing to see how bright you want the weapons, and that's when the blending starts to look really, really cool. So I'm excited to see what you guys do with that. And that is it. That is how I painted Termagant start to finish, the scheme I've been using for about 3 years. And I still probably have about 900 of these left somewhere to paint, so that is the whole scheme. And like I said at the beginning, you can scale this up onto whatever Tyranid models you like. I have been doing this for 3 years and I've not wanted to change it. I don't even know how many miniatures I've painted with this scheme at this point. But I mean, I think I've painted every single variety of Nid. If you guys found this useful and you do want to try it out for yourselves, then I really, really, really want to see it. Tag me in your pictures, send them to me, drop it in the Discord. I'm super excited to see how you guys get on with this. And if you are a Patreon supporter, thank you so much. You do already also have a full paint guide and list written up for Hive Node tiers and above. Again, thank you so much for your support. And if you ever want to watch along in real time, I stream hobbies on YouTube and Twitch. Come hang out with me on Thursdays and Sundays and you can see exactly what I'm working on, and I can talk you through what I'm doing as I go. The links for everything are in the description below. Thank you all so much for being here. I genuinely appreciate you all so much, and I will see you in another video very soon.